Your most important prep. This is what Vancity Prepper asked, and the comment section was pretty cool. If you get a chance, go sub her. I'll put a link in the bottom to her channel. She's from Canada, British Columbia, I believe. Beautiful country up there. I've never been there, being I am Canadian, but it's very beautiful up there. I've always wanted to get up there, but I never did. I'm from the Ontario area. But I had wrote my most important prep, being I'm in the U.S. now, and have been for well over 20 years. I think 22 years. But my most important prep is my 45 on my side and my 9 on my ankle. And Mosaicmaster replied with, "I hope you're joking or you're going to be dead." And I told him I wasn't joking. And he says to me, "Well, you're going to leave your bunker behind? You're going to leave all your supplies behind?" Reluctantly, but yes, I would. Now, Mosaicmaster has quite a channel. His homestead, I guess I would call it a homestead now, because he's built up from solar to water. I mean, he's got an amazing setup for water supply. And he's gone into the idea of the homestead thing. Well, he also pointed out I'm 57. Yes, I'm an old man. I'm actually in better shape than most young people, though. I can show you a lot of young people I see in Walmart that are completely obese and couldn't even walk, a mile without having a hard time breathing. But why am I saying that? And like he pointed out, well, you're going to leave your bunker and all your supplies. I don't want to. I mean, my first plan of action is to stay in the bunker and stay put and protect what I have. I even have my house designed in such a way where this whole place can be watched by 2 people. I might show you that someday. You can protect this bunker quite well, is the way I've designed it. And not from inside, I mean from outside. But you have to consider, what are things that would push me out of the bunker? Nuclear weapons go off and my area is becoming contaminated. Sure, I could stay put for a month or 2 to let the radiation levels drop, but sooner or later, you're going to have to go. When supplies get low, or you got to pick the times when it's right to go. Now, if that happens, my second line of defense, second plan, would be to jump in my truck and my car and load it up with as many supplies as I could and head out. Now, I do have maps in both vehicles, and there are 4 ways out that I have planned on which way I'm going. Each way determines what happens. We do have nuclear power plants in the USA, and it's very well possible one of those could blow up and the wind direction could be coming this way. I do have radios and everything else to keep track of what's going on if reports are coming through. If. You don't know. You can plan, like I said, I have 4 ways out with actual hard maps, not GPS, on ways to get out of here. Doesn't mean I'm not going to die. It just means my odds of surviving are a little bit better because I have plans. But if the vehicles go down, EMP, I don't know, take your pick, and you can't get out and there's no vehicles, then yeah, we're going out by backpack. And a lot of people say, well, that's suicidal. It very well could be. Every other plan that I have in play makes my survival less and less. Where staying put is the best, but doesn't mean it's going to happen. And we don't know what's going to happen. So I would say, if you really had to say what your most important prep was, it would be having a plan. Now, some people say, especially on Vancity Prepper's video, they were saying, having a good, sane, strong mind. Well, that's going to happen either way. You're either going to be weak-minded and not be able to handle it and go crazy, and maybe somebody will have to put you out of your misery, or you will be able to handle it and have a strong mind where seeing hundreds and thousands of dead bodies is not going to affect you. When I've been watching this Ukraine-Russian thing going on, on both sides. Patrick Lancaster's on the Russian side, and there are a lot of it on the other side. Now, a lot of it's propaganda. And what I tend to do, and I don't even trust Patrick Lancaster, I don't trust any of them, I tend to look in the background. And I'm not real, when they're talking, it's kind of like mumble jumble. Some of it I'll watch and listen to. But I mainly look at the background. And what I see is old people that are stuck in basements. And when Patrick Lancaster pulls in, he gives out food and some humanitarian aid, which they have not got a lot of. A lot of them are just living off potatoes. And I've noticed people that are 80, 90 years old do not come out of the basement 3 to 4 weeks at a time. And you got to ask yourself, well, why aren't they coming out? They're old, they can barely walk. If somebody yells, run, they can't run. They're basically got a cane or a walker, and they're done if they get caught out in the open. That's the reason why I bought a multi-fuel stove. You won't see anybody moving during the day. I've seen them go from basement to basement to basement, and they do it at night. And what they're doing is they're looking for food. And they're moving to another small colony saying, do you have any food here? They might be able to give them a couple potatoes, and then they move on to the next one. Well, a multi-fuel stove allows me to cook all that. Now, Hoople's Cats talks about buying the bio stove that you feed wood to, and you can create electricity with it and charge your cell phone. To me, that's in that situation does not work. You can't get wood. It just isn't anywhere. They've blown everything to pieces. And even if you could get to the wilderness, you probably would be doing it at nighttime. And now that you've moved out there, you don't know what you could be running into, enemy soldiers or anything. It becomes very, very scary. And when they move, it's very slow. It's not like you're walking down the street or walking through the bush with a pack on. I mean, you're literally taking 3 steps and stopping and looking. 3 steps, stopping and looking. You're not moving a lot. You're moving at a very slow pace. Now, of course, a lot of people would argue, well, we'll never see that here, so we don't got to worry about that. We have no idea what we'll see. No idea at all. We could go to war against Russia. We could go to war against China. We could go to war against North Korea. Or maybe all three. The United States is in a great location. Attacking us is very difficult. But there's nothing saying they won't try. We have everything from submarines to crazy missiles. I mean, it's ridiculous in what type of war it would be, and that's why we call it World War III. But we have no idea what's going on. One day you could open your eyes and start hearing bombs going off, and then you're going to be running around like a chicken with his head cut off. So if I had to say what was the most important prep, it would be planning. But if you're just staying put, and that's it. Because a lot of people say, oh, nobody's going to bug out. That is so much bullshit. I think people are using the wrong names or the wrong terms. In the United States, there are tornadoes that come in, and when they're warned, some people evacuate right away. In Florida, hurricanes come in, they evacuate. You could really call that a bug out, I guess. But they're not bugging out forever. You know, it's a very limited time. They'll leave for a week, and then after it's over with, then they come back. But some people will refer to that as a bug out. Some people lose everything. A tornado comes through, everything's taken out, they don't have insurance. What do? You don't have the money, you're leaving the area completely now. So there are lots of reasons why people have to leave an area. But in my case, I guess I look at the most extreme. I'm not looking at a tornado. I'm not, because I got a bunker. I'm not looking at anything like that. I have insurance. I mean, I'm not really paranoid over regular weather items, basically. But if something big goes down and I am forced to leave by backpack, yes, it's more dangerous. My odds for dying are much higher. And that's just a fact. A lot of people will choose, if they have to put a pack on and leave, then they'll just wait and die. You will find a lot of people eating a bullet. You will find a lot of people that give up. Nobody really knows what's going to happen until it happens. You know, I've been backpacking well over 40 years, and I still get situations that come up that I never expect. One thing that I carry a lot of in my pack is Benadryl. And since I've been in Tennessee, not Canada, we have a lot of poisonous snakes here. And I'm not really concerned about the snakes with me. I mean, I have a certain amount of time to get out and get the anti-venom, but I'm more concerned about my dog. You know, I have a German Shepherd. She's pretty heavy. If I ever had to carry her out, boy, that would be a lot of work. I mean, I could dump everything in my pack and put her in the pack and might get her out that way. But you have to keep your dog's throat from swelling up. And that's what the Benadryl does. You start feeding the Benadryl to your animal. And if I can prevent her throat from swelling up after being bit by a snake, then she will probably live. But again, you have to know this. You have to look it up. You have to read about it. I went and talked to my vet about it. I mean, and then you come up with a plan. If that situation happens, you're prepared for it. But you can't plan for every situation. It's impossible. Russia's got supersonic missiles. We can't even detect them. You know, a lot of people are screaming, oh, Russia will never do that. I never thought Russia would attack Ukraine, and I was like in total shock when they did. The more I study it after that, I understood why. But doesn't make it right. But to me, yes, I would leave my bunker, Mosaicmaster, if the situation arose. I'm not deep rooted in here to where I believe this is the most almighty prep in the world that's going to protect me from every little thing. It's not. Every little thing you do, whether you put away food, water, it raises your odds of survival. But you never know when you're going to have to leave. I was looking at a friend, for example, that lives in Oklahoma, and she was explaining to me that there's no water. And I was like, what do you mean there's no water? Now, I take a lot of things for granted. I live in a tiny town. We have two rivers. There's water everywhere in Tennessee. And then you start to think, well, it's like that everywhere. Well, I pulled up her address and started looking at a Google map, and I was looking for water. There was none. It didn't exist. Now, she had rain barrels. She had a lot of different ways to prepare. But as soon as they go into a drought, which they're into now, her water supplies are drying up quick. And there was no place for her to get water unless she drove almost 3 hours. That's a long drive. She did have some water nearby, but the water was really, really contaminated. She had very little water around her. And there was nothing you could do to do it. And she was in a big city. There was nothing you could do to get it. I mean, I spent an hour and a half looking to see if I could find something. Water is very scary where she lives. So, if all of a sudden an area went into a drought, and I don't mean just a drought, let's say for 5 years there was no water, that city will shut down very much like Detroit did. And it will deteriorate quickly. Which then, you're juggling now, when do I sell the house? You obviously want to sell it before the 5-year drought because you'll get more for it and be able to go someplace else. But then you got the question of, well, my husband works here. Not so easy to transfer in different things if you don't have big-time careers and diplomas backing you. Nobody knows what's going to come. And no matter where I go, whether I'm going to Nashville, whether I'm out in my yard, whether I go around town, there's a gun on my side. People are crazy. And when I watch the news, it gets worse and worse every year. It doesn't get better. The odds of me being in a situation is higher and higher as each year passes. So if I'm on the move, whether it be by backpack, truck, and I'm leaving this bunker, yes, I'm carrying. And that's becoming one of my most important. Protection's everything. Because you're going to have people out there wanting to take it. And that's just the way it is. So can anybody really say what the most important prep is? I don't know. I really believe it's a plan. But how many people do have a plan to leave? How many people actually have maps in their vehicle? How many people know their area? I've hiked my whole area 20 miles out all the way around my house. Farms, everything. I know where there's every pond. I mean, I have maps I've drawn up where everything is. So, how many people have actually done things like that? Planning, planning, planning. Very important. And then, of course, training is comes into play. But Mosaicmaster, yes, I would leave my bunker if I had to. And I plan for times I may have to leave. I don't just become ignorant and say, okay, because I got a bunker, I don't need to plan anything else. I don't need to plan on how to get out, bug out, nothing. I just sit back and don't worry about it. No. I try to plan for every consistency I can plan for, all the way down to the point of me walking under here with a backpack on my back. And what I will take and what I will do. But part of the reason I bought a multi-fuel stove was because of what I seen in Patrick Lancaster's videos with them traveling from basement to basement. And I was like, okay, I definitely want to be able to eat and cook instead of eating raw food. So what do you guys think? And if anything, go check out Vancity Prepper and Mosaicmaster. I do get a kick out of when somebody says I'm crazy. I very well could be. But then I might be the guy with the plan. Catch you guys on the next one.